Today is May 1st, May Day, the original Labor Day, then International Workers' Day. It's really the left's only true global holiday. And these are pictures of people around the world taking to the streets and protesting. They are demanding higher wages, better benefits, and safer working conditions, something many of us in this country take for granted. And the great irony of May 1st, as you see in these pictures, is that it is recognized all around the world. But its birthplace is here at home. May Day started in Chicago. In 1886, workers peacefully came together, striking for an 8-hour workday. That rally turned deadly after a bomb was thrown at police. Protesters and police alike lost their lives. You learn about the Haymarket Affair in school. The story essentially has been lost to history. We forget about all the labor tragedies and triumphs along the way. On a day like today, we think about the 1911 Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire, which killed 146 garment workers in New York City. We think about all the moments in American history, some of which are happening as I speak, when people have struggled for basic autonomy, dignity, solidarity, and protection for themselves in the place where they work. Sometimes we think all that stuff that happened in the 19th and 20th centuries, labor mobilization, fighting for better conditions, strikes, it's just some story, a fairy tale from the past. This battle is not in the past. It is very much in the present. This is Bangladesh, a country of 150 million people. And last week, the country suffered the single most lethal incident in the history of the garment industry there. Rana Plaza was an 8-story building made out of concrete and glass located in the outskirts of the capital city of Dhaka. It was built on a swamp without the proper permits, and according to the country's chief engineer, 3 of its stories were added illegally. Rana Plaza housed a number of businesses, including at least 5 garment factories that supplied Western clothing retailers. Last Wednesday, it collapsed. Over 400 people have died, and that number is sure to rise as the search for the survivors has now turned into a mission to recover the dead. When I first read about this tragedy, I thought to myself, this is horrific. But I also thought that this was one of those stories you read about and you feel awful, and then you keep going about your day. It's tempting, very tempting, to think that this is just the way the world is, that this kind of tragedy happens in that kind of country. Well, the people of Bangladesh disagree. In the wake of this horrific event, there has been a society-wide mobilization, not unlike what happened in India after a young woman was gang-raped and killed on a bus, not unlike what happened here in this country in the wake of Newtown, when a long-festering social problem announced itself in a way that shook the nation's conscience. In the meantime, the horrific details surrounding Rana Plaza's collapse keep trickling out. The New York Times reports on what went on the day before the building collapsed. Listen to this. Workers on the 3rd floor were stitching clothing when they were startled by a noise that sounded like an explosion. Cracks had appeared in the building. An engineer came to assess the building. He examined 3 support pillars and concluded the building needed to be closed immediately. It wasn't.
We didn't want to go up to the factory this morning, but the management forced us to go up and said there was no problem with the building. Just after I sat at my table to work, the building just collapsed. I couldn't even leave.
Workers at Rana Plaza earned as little as $40 a month. They had no union. They didn't even have the power to say, I cannot go to work today because I don't feel safe. That lack of power is what killed them. The man who had all the power at Rana Plaza was the building's owner, a man named Sahel Rana. The New York Times describes him as an untouchable, as a mafia don. Mr. Rana was reportedly involved in illegal drugs and guns. He also happened to be the local leader of the ruling political party's youth wing. When it became clear he was responsible for the conditions at Rana Plaza, Mr. Rana tried to sneak out of the country and was nabbed by the police, is now going to be brought to trial. If these details outrage you, you are not alone. Today, thousands of Bangladeshis took to the streets in the capital city of Dhaka, demanding better safety standards for their neighbors, their brothers, their sisters, for themselves, because Bangladesh right now, as a society, is saying what other societies have said at other moments: enough. This cannot stand. It is a stark reminder on this day, when we think about what it means for working people to band together and assert their power, it literally is a matter of life and death. All of us have some type of understanding that the clothes we wear on our backs were made somewhere, that might have been made in one of the factories inside Rana Plaza. The future we should be heading towards isn't a future in which our clothes aren't made by the people in Bangladesh or other parts of the globe. The future is a future in which our clothes are made by people in Bangladesh, but those people have the right to form a union. They have the right to earn a living in an environment with the proper building permits. They have the right to go to work every day, earn a fair, livable wage, and come home every night safe to the people they love. It's the most basic demand. But it doesn't just happen by magic. It happens through struggle. Happy May Day. We'll be right back with Click 3.